All right, guys. Today's podcast is with Gennady. She's an amazing woman. She's gone through so much in her life, and she's come out this most amazing human who's just helping others. So please have a listen. It's an awesome podcast. Lastly, we have our final program release of the year. 21 days. Any fitness goals that you want to achieve before the end of the year, this is your time now. Head over to orderfitnessandnutrition.com. Check out our program. It's going live next week. Choo! Holly. Welcome, Gennady. How are you, man?
Good, thank you.
Good. It's fucking good to have you on, man. I wanted you on this podcast because I found you through a lot of your body confidence material. And it aligns a lot with what we are as Order, I suppose. I think you are a balanced, healthy, real woman, and that's what you portray on social media. And that's why I started following you. And there's a funny story behind this. So one of your posts, oh fuck, it was funny, and I was and it was zoomed in on your face, and you were like, fuck what everyone else thinks about my body, fuck, all these cool shit that you were saying, and I was like, fuck yeah, hard out, and I was like, and I put the hundy emoji, and I was like, hundy, hundy, and then I went off, and I was like, 3 hours later, you replied back with saying, and I was like, oh yeah, and then I watched the whole video, and it zoomed out, and you're in your bikini, and I was like, oh fuck, I'm gonna look like a creep. I'm like, hundy, and I'm like, oh no, and then I was like, oh fuck, I was gonna ask her to be on our podcast too, and fucking now she's gonna think I'm this creepy dude watching a bikini one.
So you've learned something. Watch the full video
before I comment.
Yeah.
But on that, what's led you down this cool pathway of showing people what a real balanced lifestyle is and what a real woman is, and this awesome body confidence kind of material that you're pumping out?
I think it all started a couple of years ago. I appeared on a TV show on TV3 here in New Zealand, Heartbreak Island, and it was a reality TV show about searching for love or winning $100,000. And I had just left an abusive relationship, so I probably wasn't in the greatest mindset to enter on a TV show, but I thought it'd be fun. I was finding myself and had a great time. Went away. We were in Fiji. I was there for about 5.5 weeks. And just had a blast and really loved my time. And when I came back and it was time for the TV show to air, me and all my friends were sitting there in my parents' restaurant watching it on the TV, like ready for it to appear. And within the first 2 minutes, I was called a fat catfish. And my friends all looked at me and my friends were like, oh my gosh, are you okay? And that was someone on the TV show saying that about me. And then from there, it was kind of just like guns blazing. My Instagram completely blew up. And it was just New Zealand telling me that I shouldn't be on TV. My body wasn't the right size. I'm not fit for TV. It was like the most horrible thing that's ever happened to me. And
that's ruthless, man.
Yeah, and I just didn't realize New Zealand would be like that. And a lot of people don't. And the abuse just kept coming. It went through my Facebook. I got emailed at my work. And I had to change my name and stuff on social media. So it was really hectic. And I became incredibly ashamed of myself and my body. Like I hated myself. And every week the show would air and I couldn't even watch it. My friends would take my phone off me and they would just delete all the nasty comments before I could see them. And I just felt like I couldn't leave the house. I couldn't go to the gym. I couldn't go to the supermarket. It just felt, terrible. And so I kind of stopped eating as well and became almost anorexic, really. And I went right down to I was already quite small. I was way smaller than what I am now. And which made me think even worse of myself. And then kind of one day I was like, fuck it. I actually love myself. Why am I letting these other people dictate how I feel about myself? Like, I am happy. And I started to make small changes in my life, like less alcohol, less going out and partying, exercising more, making sure I was putting good things into my body, and making sure that I was treating myself with respect and love and care. And the more I did that, self-love kind of grew. And then I was like, why am I not sharing this with other people? Because this is so amazing. I've brought myself back from a really low point, and I know so many other people feel like it. So that's when I was like, I'm going to share it on my social media. I'm so lucky to have this platform that had grown from the TV show. Why am I sitting here taking pretty pictures and being this influencer when I've got this platform and I can actually spread something that's important? And that was kind of my turning point.
Wow, bro, that's insane. Like, me and Dills was literally just talking about it before. We're like, man, it must be hard in your situation, like putting yourself out there, even though you're pumping out what I think is 100% the right thing to be pumping out, and it's all positive material to help other people. There's still going to be fuckwits that send you messages and try to be an asshole. And I was like, imagine that. But now you've just said this. This is like, that's like that on steroids, you know?
Yeah.
I just got goosebumps when you were talking about it today. I was like, holy shit, this chick was just totally unprepared for this. And then it just smack in the face. And
it's hard. And I guess like you guys have got kids and stuff, and you're brought up and you tell your kids. So I don't remember back in the day if your parents used to say it to you, like, sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt. And I remember my mum always saying that to me in the car. But words do hurt. Like, they really, really do. And it, like, now when I get like, which I do sometimes, get like a nasty comment come through, it's water off a duck's back. I'm like, oh, you're clearly a jerk. Like, you've got issues, and I'm sorry you're going through something, but I'm happy with myself. But that took a really long time to get there.
That's amazing that you fucking had the courage to even get out of that, man. That's gnarly. That's so... I don't know if you know that. I don't know. That's a big hill to climb. It's so much bullshit on you.
Yeah, and like, I've had a really hard time. Like, it hasn't been an easy road. I've had great friends and family that have supported me because I was really, really low, and then I met an amazing guy, and he's been awesome for me as well. And he encouraged me to go to counselling. So now I've been seeing a counsellor for 2 and a bit years, which has been amazing. Like, I always kind of thought, oh, talking to someone's not going to help. But me 2 years ago and 4 years ago to me now is just a completely different person. So
it's about growth, eh? That growth that you get from those shit situations.
Yeah, and people go, oh, I want to love myself, or I want to do this, but you've got to put in the effort, and it's not just one thing. Like, I went to the doctors and I started taking anti-anxiety medication, and I was like, why is it not working? But that's not going to work. You can't just take a pill and be happy or feel better or love yourself. You've got to put in the hard work. So it's taken years to get there, but
consistent work too. It's daily, and you'll always come across new things that you haven't experienced before, and it's just about having those, I don't know how do you say it, like boundaries and walls and like all these defense protections so that these things can't penetrate your
hurt you.
Exactly. Yeah.
So exactly. Like I said just before we started, like, I had a huge bout of anxiety, and that was it was a shit situation which caused me to get into a massive stress that I didn't really deal with the problem correctly, and I didn't address it, and I let it get bigger, until so I snapped. My kind of anxiety was like if I could freak out over random things like that I'd leave on or something like that, kind of like an OCD kind of shit. Well, that's what the psychologist labeled it as OCD. But did you have experienced anything like that? You just touched on anxiety a little bit there before, and which I 100% agree with you. Like, building through things, it still doesn't fix anything. But could you run us through a little bit on your story behind that?
Yeah, so as I was talking to you guys about earlier, and as you know, which talk about my social media, I was in an abusive relationship for 3.5 years with a guy who was a lot older than me at the time. So I was my early 20s back then, and he was his early 30s. So there was quite a big age gap between us. And he had a little girl. So I took on, at such a young kind of party age that you would be, I took on being a stepmom, which I loved because I love kids, but it was probably a lot to be doing at 23 years old. Yeah. And I was with him, and he was really, really controlling. But I didn't really understand what control was. I didn't understand what an abusive relationship was. I had no understanding of any of that stuff going into it. Yeah. And then he started to say things to me like I was fat, or I was ugly, or I was stupid, or I can't do anything right, or no one would ever want me. And what I realize now is that him kind of like paving the way into the domestic violence. So for maybe 6 months, it was constant nasty words. And then from there, it then turned abusive and physical. And I never left because I felt, why would someone want me? I'm fat, I'm ugly, I'm stupid, I don't know anything. Because it was constantly drilled into me for 6 months that I felt very unworthy, which was like a really hard thing to deal with when I look back now. I'm like, look at all these red flags, what are you doing? But when you're in it, you can't see the red flags. You just see the person at the end that you want to try fix, or you want to be the best you can be for them. So after finally and eventually getting out of the relationship, I obviously developed it the whole way through, but I had like severe anxiety, I had PTSD, and then I had OCD as well. So kind of like what you were saying before, because it's all kind of like a seesaw. So you can go depression or anxiety or OCD, but it all kind of sits on one seesaw. And my seesaw was kind of just like wobbling around.
Just back and forth.
Didn't know what was going on. Yeah. And I was really unsure what was going on. Like I thought I was having a mental breakdown because I was anxious about everything. And I had to have the house tidy. I had to have the house clean. I had to appear a certain way, be a certain way, put a lot of pressure on myself. Yeah. And the anxiety was almost unbearable to the point that I couldn't leave the house. Yeah. And it was hard on people around me as well, because they'd be like, come on, just come. Like, or, hey, we're not going to do this now. We're going to do this. And I'd be like, absolutely not. I've planned the whole day for this. Yeah. Change the plans on me. Like, no. And so, I really, really struggled with that, and went to the doctors, and then she diagnosed me with the PTSD, anxiety, OCD, and everything. Yeah. Started taking citalopram, which was for anxiety, which really started to help. And that's when I kind of moved into the fitness and the eating healthy and everything like that. Man. Still struggle with anxiety and OCD, like on a really, really low scale. Yeah. But it still flares its ugly head. But I've come a long way. Yeah.
It's gnarly, eh? Like, I still as well get little bits here and there. But it's just such a weird, it's such a weird thing to feel. Like, it's like and I think as well, if you get it while you're older, like, you have like such a sense of independence. Like when you're, when you're in your early 20s, you're like, fuck, I'm invincible, man. Like, you give me a job, I can smoke it, easy. Yeah. And then going into a point where everything feels so fearful, and you're like, fuck, man, just stop being so fucking scared of shit, Yeah. You can't, like you're saying, you can go do this. This isn't going to happen. Something bad isn't going to happen. Yeah. But it does, and you can see how it can easily break people down. Exactly. To want to not bloody live anymore, Like I got to that point, and I was just like, I remember I never cried until since I was like 8 years old, and then like when this happened like 3 years ago, like I just couldn't stop crying. I was like crying all the time. I was like, what the hell's wrong with me? But it's such a hard thing, and like you're saying, like it's just. But look where you are now. Like that's what I think. Like, so like it's kind of, I don't want to say like a blessing in disguise, because it's such good came out of it for me. Yeah. It's almost like I don't have this. I've got so much more confidence in myself and my abilities to succeed in things now than I ever did when I thought I was bulletproof bloody Cam in my early 20s,
Yeah, exactly.
Even though you still have those little symptoms, like look at you. you're just like you're just charging, and you still say you get little bits.
If I become.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you almost feel like you can overtake anything, and that's what you're kind of doing right now, you know?
Absolutely.
In your life.
Yeah. I always kind of say to myself, like, as you said, like a blessing in disguise. I'm like, it's the most horrible thing that happened to me, and I wish it never happened to me. But if you could see a little bit of good in it, I'm so glad it happened to me, because I got out and now I have this ability to help people. And
massively.
So that's, I guess, the good from it. So, and if it happened to me and I got out, maybe I can stop it or prevent it from happening to other people. Yeah.
I guess the hardest thing in amongst it all is that you're not only getting physically abused, but you're getting mentally abused as well. And that mental abuse is almost just as bad as the physical. At least with the physical, you can understand, like, ouch, I'm hurt. Like, you did something to me and I'm hurt. With the mental, you've got no idea it's actually happening, like you said, along the way. It was she was slowly breaking you down until you had no defense to anything. And then you know, to a point where you didn't love yourself, that felt like you deserved it, felt like you that was, you know, what you where
I was meant to be.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Definitely I felt as if, well, this is what happens to people who are like me, you know? I really put myself in this really horrible box, even though I didn't grow up in a home like that.
Yeah.
I kind of assumed, well, okay, well, this is just normal behind other people's closed doors.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had an experience myself with like being in a relationship with mental and some physical abuse as well. And something that I had no idea of at the time was that
you were the one getting abused. Just the
yeah, sorry, yeah. So my experience of being
if I can go around and give them the bash, bro. Hey, what have you been doing? What have you been doing?
Yeah. So
don't seem like that kind of
guy. I didn't only have like unhealthy relationships, but like relationships with people, but I had an unhealthy relationship with my feelings as well. So for example, my pain and like emotional and physical pain would bring about a feeling of hurt, which I had associated with love from past experiences of love. So, like, you know, childhood trauma or whatever, hurt was associated with love. And then in a relationship, I felt like, well, this person's hurting me, they're loving me. So that brought about that feeling like, oh yeah, okay, so I deserve this. I should be, this is what, you know, this is what I deserve. But I had no logical idea why I was in this situation and why I should stay in this situation. But I didn't want to leave because you know, in a when you're in a relationship like that, just as much as the other person can beat you down, they can pick you back up, like just like in an instant. They can make you feel better just as fast as that they made you feel shit or hurt you. And that's way quicker than me walking away, making myself, being alone for starters, which is I was scared of as shit. It would be way quicker than me making myself feel better, because all that work that you spoke about, getting to the point where you are today, is such a long, journey. Such a long journey. You cannot see the end of it. But honestly, one foot in front of the other, and you can definitely get there, like you've shown.
Yeah, well, like exactly what you described as the cycle of abuse, you know. So we stay in it because it's really, really bad. And then it's really, really good. So the highs are highs, the lows are lows, but you stay for the highs because they're a lot higher than what any steady relationship would be, you know. Like my ex would do something really horrible and I'd get this big bouquet of flowers and taken out to a really nice restaurant, and I'd get a new item of jewellery or something bought for me. My friends weren't getting that just randomly, but I was, needless to say, obviously what was going on behind closed doors. And then on social media, you go post the flowers and the ring and the oh, you're so happy. And yeah, I'm so happy. So it's the highs and lows and the cycle of abuse which makes us stay.
Yeah, for sure.
Shit. Because that's what I was asking Dills. I was like, I've never been in a situation like that, so I can't really compare anything. I was like, fuck, what would make sense? If someone was hitting me, I'd be like, fuck you, I'm getting out of this, I'd be like, don't fucking hit me.
Don't touch me.
Hard out. And so it was interesting, and that's when Dillsy said, well, I've been in a situation like that. And,
that's so crazy as well, but like Dill's having the same, like your story is exactly the same as mine, regardless of the fact whether it's a girl or a guy or whatever. Any person that you talk to that's been in some form of like unhealthy relationship, their story's identical, and it's exactly the same. So it's and the same questions always asked, like, why'd you stay? But it's that beating down, or you're not worthy, or that like not understanding what you deserve kind of thing, which is kind of sticks with you.
You're such an inspiration because you speak out, you speak openly about it. I've never ever spoken about this before.
I'm proud of you. It's awesome.
And when Cam said we were talking to you, and then I had a look at who you were and what you did, I was just like, my dog's tail.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're having a moment.
I was just like, man, this has just opened some doors, and I'm grateful for that. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
How big is this? Because I, from what I gather, you've gone a bit further with this. How big is this problem in New Zealand? Do you think, generally?
It's really big. I literally heard on the news, I think it was 2 nights ago, that they were saying, because it sits like obviously abuse sits as like family violence, so that's obviously also violence on children. And we've only got worse since lockdown last year. We haven't got any better, and we're talking about it more, people becoming more aware, and they were saying that it's just skyrocketed, family violence in New Zealand. But I think 1 in every 3 women experience domestic violence, whether it's abuse or whether it's physical, and I think it's 1 in every 5 men as well. So it's pretty even, and a lot of people, I've definitely corrected myself over the years. I used to speak about purely violence against women, and I've had a lot of men come forward and talk to me, and so you'll notice, like, maybe in the last couple of years my posts have changed, where it's not violence against women, it's against both, women and men, because they both experience it. But it's just not getting any better, and lockdowns aren't helping. People are stuck at home, they're stuck with the abuser, and it just doesn't seem to be getting any better, which is really, really sad.
1 in 3, man. That's like 6 of us sitting in a room, 2 of us are doing that, That's that's a lot of people, man.
Yeah, and when it first happened to me, I have a really close group of friends, and a few of them got into relationships which were really, really unhealthy, and they got out right before, at the point where it got physical. But they'd been at that point where it was like being abused, and it was being spoken to. Sorry, my partner just came into the room.
That's all right.
He's trying to get ready for cricket. And so then a couple of my friends, and there's about 8 of us, and there was 3 of us that had experienced it. And I was like, wow, okay, so I can even put that to my close group of friends. And the more people I've met and talked to about my story, they've come back and said, yeah, me too. And you just hear so many me toos, and it's heartbreaking. I spent a lot of time on my social media talking about it, and at the beginning offering like my services that I'd be able to help. But then I kind of found I was taking on quite a bit of baggage when I also needed to fix myself. You can't fill from an empty cup kind of thing. And my partner said to me, like, you can't keep taking this on. You can't sit in bed till midnight messaging these girls, like you've got to be able to point them in a good direction. And so I reached out to one of my followers who actually is a family violence lawyer. And so now I've got her details. So if someone messages me, I can pass on her details, and she'll give them free advice, which is so cool.
That's
and then, having all the links there, you know, to the websites and knowing who to talk to and what, I can pass on all that information and be there. But to date, I've helped 97 women leave abusive relationships, which is so amazing.
Oh,
and yeah, so
that must feel awesome.
Yeah, I feel great every time someone's like, I left. I like write like a little thing in my diary. I'm like little lines, and I'm like, okay, that's another person that I can sleep better about at night, knowing that they're okay. So fingers crossed, I can just keep helping people.
Fuck, you're doing a bloody good job, mate.
That was all meant to be.
You're taking on multiple areas. You're fucking helping everyone.
How good does it feel, though, eh? Helping others.
Yeah, it feels good.
Yeah.
When I was on social media when I was younger, sorry.
No, and, go.
And I was going through the abusive relationship. I wished I had someone on social media to follow who spoke about it, because I didn't know what red flags were. I didn't know, you know, an unhealthy relationship. And so I wished I had someone that I could follow on a platform that I could look up to and go, okay, right. And then I was like, fuck it. Why don't I be that person? Like, what are you doing? And so then I've taken that on myself to be that person and help others.
Man. So just last question about kind of domestic violence kind of thing. What were your friends like? You know, like did they kind of know about it, or were you like, is it a point where you feel quite embarrassed, so you keep it all to yourself? How does that all work?
I have a really close group of friends who've all been friends for like 18, 19 years since high school, and they were aware that he was really controlling and that he had some issues and it wasn't healthy. And two of my best friends sat me down and did like an intervention with me.
Yeah.
But I was almost kind of so brainwashed that I was like, well, if you don't like him and you don't want to be with him, you don't like him and you don't. Sorry, my cat. Everyone's coming in.
We got Dill's dog.
My cat.
No, that's cool. Makes it real.
And so they kind of had intervention with me, and it really made me push them away. And I was like, well, actually, I don't want you guys in my life anymore. And these people were like everything to me. Sure. And they stuck by me because they knew it wasn't safe, but they never knew it was physical. Until one day I just hit breaking point and messaged my best friend. And I'd actually just finished watching. I love true crime. I don't know why I've been through something so traumatic, but listening to true crime podcasts and anything to do with crime, I'm obsessed with it. I'm like cleaning the house, it's like getting strangled over the bag. I'm like, oh my God, watching all this weird shit. But I finished watching the O.J. Simpson trials, and his wife that he'd murdered, she'd taken pictures of the abuse and put it in a lockup. And that was like one of the reasons in the case that they had evidence against him. And so I'd taken pictures of all my bruises and I'd emailed them to myself and then deleted them from my phone and then saved them in a hidden folder of my emails.
Yeah.
And so I obviously knew I was in an unhealthy relationship because I was hiding it and I was taking these pictures, but I wasn't doing anything with them. And so I sent them to my friend and I said, I need to talk to you, like ASAP. And my friends just rallied around me. They're the most amazing people. I'm so lucky to have them. And they just stayed with me. They came around to the house. All their partners were there, moved me out, got me out of the house, got my animals. I was good to go. Moved out to my friend's farm, just away from everywhere. And just stayed out there for a week. And just had the best support ever. But they knew I was changing. They knew it wasn't right. But they also hadn't experienced domestic violence. So it was all new for them as well.
Yeah.
So now they're way more aware of signs and everything, and they're incredibly protective of me. My poor partner, when we stared dating, they were like interrogating.
Yo.
Tell us your past.
Yeah. You lay a hand on it, bro.
Yeah. It's terrifying.
We're coming for you.
Yeah. So, I guess it was a learning curve for me, and it was a learning curve for them and a lot of people around me, because I just went aware of signs.
Yeah, because you can, like, I remember, some people kind of, the only reason I asked about the friends thing is not really asking if they, I wasn't really probing to see if they were loyal to you. No, I wasn't trying to just make them look disingenuous. But, like, how some people, if they see, someone go back to someone and be in a bad relationship, they kind of cut ties and they kind of like turn their back on them a bit, you know, or
sort of like, oh, it's your problem. I told you.
Yeah, I told you.
I've told you so many times. I keep dealing with your issues.
Yeah.
I've had enough. Yeah. I was really lucky that my friends were very persistent with me and didn't leave. But a lot of the times as well, I would turn things, you know, if he hit me and I had a bruise, I'd be like, oh, I fell off the bike. You know, it was that age-old thing. Or if, I'd say, oh, he pushed me. And they'd be like, what? And I'd be like, but I pushed him first. You know, so I'd automatically retract it because I didn't want them to dislike him. And then, it's like you said, I just stopped telling them things because it was just easier.
I can totally relate to what you said about sort of isolating and pushing someone trying to say something and then pushing them away. And you just don't want to deal with that. You just want to wallow in
Carry on in your bubble.
Stay in your bubble. Which is, it's not the way to go.
It's gnarly, You've been, mate. That's why you're doing what you do now, man. That's why you're giving so much to helping other people. You've been through the fucking ringer, mate.
Yeah, it hasn't been fun, that's for sure.
but you're in an awesome place now with an awesome partner, with your awesome friends, you know?
Yeah. No, I actually met my partner the funniest way ever. I went out for the first time in ages and I saw my ex and he came up to me at the bar. And my friends, as we were talking about, they rallied around me. They pushed him away. They were like, get out. And I was like, oh, my God, this is too much. I need to taxi home. And I just disappeared and got in a taxi and Ubered home to my apartment. And when I got out of the Uber, I like kicked something out of the Uber and I was like, oh, God, what's that? Picked it up and took it inside with me, went to bed. Woke up in the morning, I was like, oh, my God, did I steal someone's wallet last night? Like, why have I got this wallet in my bed with me? And I opened it, and it was this lady's wallet, and there was all this cash in there and pictures of her 2 little kids. And I was like, oh, my God, like, that's what I kicked out of the Uber.
Yeah.
And so I found her on Facebook, messaged her, and then put it on my Instagram. I was like, do you think I know this lady? Like, I found her wallet. I really want to return it. And someone I knew her and was like, oh, this is her number. So I called her. And she was like, oh, I live in Dunedin. I was living in Christchurch at this point, and she was like, I'll get one of my kids to come around and pick it up. And I was like, okay, cool, like no worries. And then anyway, this guy came around, knocked on the door, picked up the wallet, and we've been together for 3.5 years.
Your future boyfriend.
Yeah.
Comes in there. Oh, yeah.
I didn't need to go on a TV show to find love. I said to steal wallets in town.
Yeah. Well,
that
that was sort of like the TV show, you know. There was love if you rung it back, or you could keep the money, which is in the wallet.
Sometimes I say to him, I wish I took the 200, but
oh, shit, that's cold, eh? That is cold. Was it the right one? What was the show called again? I remember. I think fucking one of our mates went on it and fucking hated it too, eh?
Oh, really?
It was one of them. Oh, I don't know if it was. Oh, no, I'll think about it.
Heartbreak Island, yeah.
Was it Ella? Was Ella with you guys?
Yes, Ella. Yeah, she's on my season.
She's our mate from Coromandel.
Funny.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
She's cool as, eh?
Yeah, she had a hard run as well. Like, she had a terrible first episode as well. They were really nasty to her. So they like started the TV series with, we're going to rate you who's hot and who's not. And they rated everyone on who was hot and who was not. Like, it was just, it wasn't nice.
It's a fucking cruel thing to try and make entertainment, eh?
Yeah, exactly. That's how they make money.
Used to make money.
Don't watch it now.
No, don't watch it. Do not watch it. No. But so social media, like we'll get back to that kind of topic. There's a lot of shit things, you know, a lot of pressure on women through social media, and that's what, you know, to look a certain way and be a certain way. Like, what do you reckon the flow-on effect is in society? Like, especially like younger women having to look up to constantly have the lips done or get the Botox done or get the, you know, have the incredible body, you know?
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure. And I grew up in the 90s where we didn't have social media, we'd dial up internet, but we had magazines. And you would see those magazines and you'd see the perfect people and you never saw anyone your size, you know? I just grew up with constant issues with my weight, and I would look back at pictures of me even now and I'm like, I remember I hated myself and I thought I was so fat and overweight. And I was tiny, like I was so small.
Yeah.
And then social media comes along and editing photos and those editing apps, just they blow my mind. Like I don't even understand.
Yeah.
And the filters on the pictures, you know, like you couldn't tell if that's how they actually looked or if it was a filter. That's a huge amount of pressure to feel in society. And I know that even men feel it as well, you know? It's you've got to have that six pack or you've got to have those fake boobs or whatever it may be. And it's a lot of pressure. But I have seen now that a lot of people have become way more real and people talking about their skin, you know, and showing their skin. People are talking about, you know, stretch marks, their curves. And a lot of big celebrities are getting their lips, I don't know if you guys seen it, but they're getting their lips fillers taken out, and a lot of them are getting their like breast implants removed. So it's definitely changing, and it's becoming a lot more natural, which is really cool. People are obviously still going to have their that idea of what real beauty is, but just if you're following the right people on social media as well, your newsfeed's filled with so much real, beautiful, raw stuff. You can't help but feel inspired as long as you're, you know, surrounding yourself with that stuff.
It's because it's just I see it so much. Girls getting the work done, like young girls. You don't even have fucking wrinkles. Like, like, what do you need Botox for? You're fucking 30 years old. Like, and getting lips, and I'm like imperfection is perfect. Like that's what beauty is. If everyone fucking looks the same, then like, you know, it looks like these bloody model things, and it's like, then it's just boring. Like, you know, that's how I see it.
And you don't see a whole lot of models walking down the street. You don't see that ever, you know, unless you're at a bloody fashion show. So it's very rare. So people just being natural and being themselves is beautiful. And I say to a lot of people, a lot of women that have had kids, they message me a lot, like, oh, you know, I've had 3 babies or I've had my first baby and I really struggle. I really struggle with the way I look or feel my body's changed. I'm like, do you realize what your body has just done? You know, like it's just created a little human. Like, you're amazing. Like, that's so cool. And I'm like, and also you're reaching out to me and I haven't had a child. You know, like, look what your body's done. And you're saying to me, like, look at your confidence. Hey, like, this is just natural. This is all the McDonald's and Burger King I've eaten. You know, just like, it's fine.
Living life.
Live your life. Exactly. That's it. You've just got to live your life and stop worrying about what other people think of you. Because it's just no fun at all.
It's in the back of everyone's kind of head, eh? Always. Like, even a little bit with me, I'm like, oh, I should actually, you know, tighten up the diet this week. And then I'm like, Wednesday comes around, I'm like, oh, I'm definitely going for a craft beer and a steak at the golf club. But like you're saying, like, my wife's very similar. Like, you know, she's like, oh, I don't like my body. Oh, you know, and I'm like, you're fucking smoking, like, and you're smoking to me, and that's all that fucking matters in my eyes.
Exactly. You don't need to impress anyone else.
And it's just a weird thing, like, you know, and girls get stretch marks, or, you know, or your body changes. And I think if you love the person, like, you're still fully, like, you know, I said it to one of the boys the other day, I'm like, his missus is like only a few weeks away from, probably like a month away from having their first child. And I was like, it's weird, right, though, because you're still so attracted. And I'm like, because you love, and I'm like, I think it's because you love the person that you're just fully attracted to them, irrelevant of their body, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It's quite a, and like the flow on effect, I think, from that social pressure of having to look a certain way is it affect, like, I reckon, because a few of the guys I used to work with in construction, big big jacked up boys, and they would all have the tiny little blonde, chick on their arm. And then once when they would get real pissed, they'd be like, go for a more full-figured woman, and and disappear, and then only in they get into their 30s and they start feeling more comfortable being themselves, they actually start going for the woman that they're attracted to,
Yeah,
and it's almost like in that even from your teens into your late 20s. You're feeling the pressure, even as a male, to be like, oh, I've got to go for this type of girl because I need to go for that blonde, in shape woman, and even though they're attracted to completely the opposite.
Yeah, exactly.
They feel that pressure to want to be acknowledged by the boys or be acknowledged by social pressures to be like, I've got look what I've got.
Good on you, mate. Yeah.
Yeah. She's good, but she can't shut the fuck up.
He's probably what my partner's parents people say about me. I love to talk.
Oh shit, yeah. Yeah.
The problem I see with social media is that people can't separate fantasy from the reality, and like real people, real goals, and what's real life. So how do you determine on what's real, what's not, who you want to be like and who you don't want to be like? Like what does it come down to for you? And obviously you mentioned before, like there was I heard you say a little tip on just follow people that are real, Your newsfeed comes up with just real people, not fake people.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably my biggest tip is that I found that, as much as I preach self-love and all of that, I am only human, and you do get caught up in, social media and everything like that. So it's kind of about training yourself that it's not real. But I went through my Instagram and did a massive clear out of who I followed, because I was following even clothing brands, with these really skinny people, or like they were super fit, or they were on a yacht for the weekend or something. And I was like, oh, whatever, like, nah, I don't need to say it.
It's fantasy. It's fantasy.
Yes. And it's not my vibe, and I can't afford that. Like, it's not happening for me. Yeah. And so I made sure that I followed really like-minded people, or people that I looked up to, women that were preaching body confidence. They were talking about self-love. And when I go on my news feed, everything that I see is something that I want to see, and it's not something that I feel like I have to be better than. Not that that's something that I ever feel, but I found that I used to feel like that, like, oh, I need to go on a yacht, or you don't know anyone with a yacht.
Yeah, maybe if I follow this person, they'll take me on it.
It's not
with your giant bottle of Mame.
Yeah. I'll just drink the Lindau. But yeah, so I just made sure that I really looked out for the people that I followed, and made sure that it only benefited me. And then I also made sure that I was the same for people that followed me, so I don't use like filters on my face and my stories, because I found that really deceiving. And I was like, actually, no, I'll just be me. Even if I look like shit, so what? Like, that's how I've looked today. That's my day. And never edit my pictures, so everything like that. So everything that you get from me is really real. And if I'm going through a rough day and I really feel like I can't reply, I'll be like, hey, look, I'm having a social media break. I'm going through something, not feeling the best. And like just putting that out there on your page, just having a break from social media. People are like, oh, she is human, she does have feelings. Yeah, maybe she can't cope right now. So yeah, just as much as making sure my feed's real, being real back for other people who follow me.
That's awesome.
Maybe she can't reply back to the 300 comments that's on each post.
No, I can't.
That's probably why my social media hasn't bloody grown. Just throw a post out every now and then, just be like, oh shit, I've got an Instagram account.
Oh, you're a male. You guys are terrible at replying to things.
Oh, for sure.
Shit, we what?
Sorry.
You go, bro.
I was just going to say, you mentioned self-love before. Are there any practices that you do that promote it, or talking and loving yourself in a positive way, rather than that little voice in the back of your head that can often creep up?
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually talking about it today on my Instagram, so it's funny that you ask. So I do a lot of, even like what we were talking about before, I call self-love. So like going to the gym every day, exercising, obviously releases endorphins. You feel happy, you feel good, you feel like you've accomplished something. Even small things like before I leave the house every day, I make the bed. Because it's like before I've even left the house that day, I've accomplished something. If that's all I accomplished today, it means I'm going to get in a really nice made bed tonight,
Yeah.
And so it's just looking after future me. Speaking to myself in the mirror, like, you've got this, like, you're a badass bitch, like, you're going to rock today, just whatever. Like, even before I come on this podcast, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going on a podcast. Like, what am I going to say? I'm going to say a lot. I'm like, you've got this, just like keep talking myself. Yeah. So I do a lot of that, but then it's just same things, drinking lots of water, that's good for your body. It's going to make you feel better. And I go to the gym every morning at 5:10. Or I get up at 5:10 in the morning to go to the gym, because it's the only time I can fit everything I need to fit in my day. And my alarm goes off and I'm like, oh my God, it's 5:10 in the morning and it's still dark. I'm like, you're going to feel so much better after you go. Like, you're going to feel great. And then sure enough, I come home, making a smoothie, I'm happy as. So it's just small things that you implement every day. Even putting a face mask on, or I say to my partner, I'm having a tan night. And then I just like go to the bathroom, face mask, fake tan, teeth whitener, my hair's all done. He's like, oh my God, you look horrendous, because I've got masks on and everything. But I feel great. And so it's just small things like that, just looking after yourself.
Yeah. No, you're totally teaching yourself like discipline as well, which is, it all flows on. All that good feels.
I've got discipline until it comes to food.
Yeah. But you gotta live, eh? You gotta live,
exactly.
Even when I'm now, the wife's like, should we go out for Indian on a Thursday? I'm like, well, I bet Gennady's inspired me to. Gennady would tell me to
live for the moment,
go out and live life.
Eat that curry.
Yeah. I'm like,
get the naan while you're at it.
She works out and eats good food, so I'm going to work out and eat good food.
90% of the time, and then the 10% of the time, I'll definitely order a butter chicken.
Yeah, bloody hell. I'm always butter chicken, eh? Always butter chicken. No, that's cool. What's your training at the moment anyway? What are you doing on the regular?
We have just adopted a dog who's border collie, so he loves exercise.
So he does it for me.
Yeah, he drags me.
You're nuts,
Hey Cooper, just hanging out right by me. So yeah, we just adopted a dog. So I walk him every night, and then every morning I do F45 and here in Monica. So yeah, I've been loving that. It's been good, and made some good friends there as well, which motivates me to get up and go, which is good. Yeah.
Dang, that's cool, man. F45 is pretty gnarly, eh?
Yeah, a lot of people are like, oh, it's a cult, and it probably is, but like I've never joined it.
But I'm a part of it, and I can't see outside of it, so...
Yeah, I'm in it now, so that's what I'm in.
Yeah.
No, but it's good, it's great, and a lot of people like think of it. I think I was the same about like CrossFit back in the day. I was like, no, God, no, I could never do CrossFit. I can't do what they do. And a lot of people feel the same about F45, but you get there and there's so many people of different shapes and sizes, different goals.
Yeah.
Like you're not in a room full of fit people, like some people are, some people aren't, everyone's at different levels. So it's just a really nice place to be.
Yeah. And that's it. Like it's about, because everyone's, and that's what we're about really, is it's just about the normal people that want to go and work out. Like I've trained so many, when we were up in Auckland, I used to train like 55-year-old bloody woman who you would think looked like they weren't in shape, but they were machines. I'd get some of the young boys with some of our mates to come try to do the same workout. They wouldn't even be able to finish it.
Yeah.
You know, and these women will just be like, come on, young buck, slap him on the ass, and
smash it out.
you know, and he's like, oh, I can't do another round. They're like, we got another round, boy, we got another round. Pick up that weight, one arm roast. And I'm like, holy shit, these women are machines, man.
Yeah.
You know?
And I never used to be a gym person or an exercise person ever, and I love it. And I don't go like, I've got to like lose this much weight, do this. Like, it's just really not about that for me. It's about how you feel after it. And that's just like, you're on such a high after you've exercised. Like, you can't be mad after you've exercised.
Nah.
You know, like your endorphins are just flowing and you're happy as. So what you guys do is so cool. It's so awesome.
And that's it, eh? It's about how you feel. Everything is, that's what I go off, you know? Like, you can, like, you know, I got, probably about 4 or 5 years ago, I got down to really shredded. And then I was like, had these abs, and I'm like, I'm the fucking only idiot that looks at these abs. Like, and I'm like training twice a day, and I'm like, this isn't like what I want. Like, I don't want this. And then ever since then, I've never had abs since then again. but I don't care. You know, I can go out and I can have a meal whenever I want. I can.
And you're happy and healthy. Yeah.
And happy and healthy. And it's about energy, how you feel. That's what I was coming back to. Like exactly what you said. It's if you've got these tools to make you feel good. You know. Like, you know, we've incorporated like cold therapy because it makes you feel good. You get your exercise makes you feel good. Eating well makes you feel good. Then going out and having a nice meal makes you feel good. You know, like using it.
It's balance,
Yeah, using it properly and having that balance is so key to having that overall balanced lifestyle. You know. Yeah,
exactly.
Massively. Supplements. What are you taking at the moment?
What am I taking? I have whatever's in my cupboard.
I order up a store, mate. I've got heaps of shit.
No, I've been taking, I have quite a bit of like Lux Fitness protein powder. So I've been taking protein powder for breakfast every morning, making a nice breakfast smoothie. And it's, I guess, the benefits of being an influencer is we get sent some cool products. And I've been trying these good for me gummies, which have been really good. Having vitamins and stuff like that in the morning. But to be honest, I'm not huge on it. I really have no idea what I'm doing. Completely.
That's all right.
Yeah. Absolutely no clue.
and they're working and the gummies are feeling good?
I think so.
Yeah,
they taste great.
Well, they're not feeling bad, so.
I keep eating them. They taste delicious.
Yeah. That's the thing, I don't know. I went and bought a heap with the whole bloody COVID thing going on. I was like, man, when this comes out, I'm gonna be double stacked on everything, you know. Like I've got the Be Pure multi. Honestly, our like we've just a whole shelf full of multivitamins, and I like started taking all this stuff, and I'm like, I don't even feel different. Like I don't know if this is working.
It's like the placebo effect. You're like, yeah, it's definitely working. Yeah, definitely is. And you're like, is it? I actually have no idea. No, I think so.
We could start our own supplement company now.
Yeah, it would really sell it.
Shit, man. That's awesome. Oh, mate. You got any more questions, Dilsey?
Yep, I just want to loop, because I just seen some notes that I've got here. I want to loop back round to body image again, and we've probably already spoken about it in bits and pieces, but what we see on our phones, in the mirror, in different mirrors, and in other people are all different things. And I believe a big part of this is driven through, we spoke about it, an ideal of what perfect means to us. And looking through the lens with either acceptance and love or judgment and criticism. From my experience, it started from a young age, you know, it was sort of that breakout age from 5, 6, 7, you don't really give a shit. From 8, 9, 10, I was a little bit chubby and I didn't want to swim without a t-shirt on, sort of thing, you know, like that. There was that moment, that break where, social pressures and stuff started happening. And so you show total confidence and seem to have dominated the self-love, self-acceptance gig. Do you find you have vulnerable days where your insecurities get the best of you? And if so, how do you manage them?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, I think I said it before, like I'm only human, and everyone can't be 100% all the time.
No.
And I've definitely I have days, on the regular, where they will hit me hard and I won't have that self-love for myself. And it takes quite a lot to dig yourself back out of that hole. And I had one recently, it was probably about 5 weeks ago. And my partner and I decided that we'd do the F45 challenge. And we decided to do the body scans. And I felt really good. I've been going to the gym 5 times a week. I've been doing netball, walking the dog. I felt really good. And I stood on those scales and I was so disheartened. And I left the room and he was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "No, I'm not. Like, I didn't know that I weighed that." And he was like, "But it doesn't matter, like you feel good, you look good, you look great to me." Yeah. And I was like, "No, that's terrible," because all I could think about was that number. Yeah. And that number was just lingering in my head. And I was really lucky, actually. He helped pull me out of that hole. He was like, "It is just a number." He's like, "You look exactly the same to me from the day I met you." And he's like, "And look how happy you've been and how happy you are." And I was like, that is right. Like, why am I letting this number mean so much to me when leading up to it, walking in that door until I stood on that scale, I was so happy with myself and so content. And so I guess then, it then turns back into that kind of talking yourself up thing. And I think that night someone commented on my picture telling me that I needed to, what did he say? He said something like, "You need to work on getting stomach muscles." And I was like, "Fuck you." And went on and did this real aggressive reel about fuck people who go on social media and say stuff like that. I just let it all out. And then I felt really good about myself again.
I saw that post. I was like, "Man, you need to punch that dude in the cock." Hey.
Yeah. Some people are such dicks. But I am only human, and it is just kind of it's just picking yourself back up. Once you start the self-love journey, you know how to feel happy, and you've just got to take things small things, don't worry about the item of clothing. A lot of people go into a clothing shop and they're like, "I'm going to squeeze into these size 8 jeans," and they don't, and they feel disheartened. Stop trying to worry about size 8 and worry about what you feel good in and what looks good on you. Your social media. Stop looking at the people that are, living these flashy lifestyles, and start looking at the people that you can relate to. And same thing as surrounding yourself with people that, are like-minded and down to earth and on the same vibe as you. So it just all kind of comes back to that.
And don't fixate on that weight.
No, just don't fixate on that number. It means absolutely nothing. And you see it quite a lot with guys and girls and pictures and stuff. I've seen a few floating across the internet. It's all these women are wearing the same bikini. And there's someone 6 foot, and there's someone that's 5 foot, and there's someone that's curvy and someone that's a stick, but they're all fitting the same size. We're all made different. It's just is what it is. But we just get so fixated on a number.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
It's a huge thing, eh? People are, the way I kind of look at how we do it is we kind of have to, this is going to sound really bad, but I kind of want to get people that majority come to us for weight loss.
Yeah.
And so I'll be like, "Okay, I'll get you to this weight by then and help you get there." And I see that as me getting them their trust. And then I'm like, "Okay, now you know what I'm doing. Now you're going to do what I'm going to tell you to do. And you're going to now eat. You're going to have the whole weekends off. You're going to, whenever you want to go out, you can do that." And then their trust is with me. And I can be like, "Okay, now you've met your goal. Now I can now start living a normal life and eating healthy and having a balance. Eat your cheat meals. Go for a beer if you want to. Go have a wine if you want to."
Yeah.
You know how nutrition kind of works now, and you know that, you're exactly the same person as you now are 85 kilos as you were at 90 kilos.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's kind of a hard thing because I'm not big on numbers either, but the only way that I could get people in
is with
get
the numbers,
them to,
yeah.
I get them in for their numbers, and then I get them to
we teach them differently.
Yeah, and then and it's a weird cycle. It's kind of like manipulating their mind into coming in, jump in with us teaching them how their bodies work, and then being like, okay, now this is your lifestyle. Be balanced, you know, like go out.
Exactly. And it's not a bad thing to want to lose weight, you know, like it's not. When I have said in the past, like, oh yeah, I would like to be smaller. People are like, but you promote this, or you know, will get real mad at me. And I'm like, I'm allowed to want to change my body. Because I love my body, you know, so those things, like, it's not bad to want to lose weight. You don't have to be like, okay, well, this is just me then, radio. You know, like, you're allowed to set those goals for yourself. It's healthy. It's healthy to want to change and adapt and grow and everything like that. And I had someone the other day, you know, why do you promote body confidence and then you work out every day? I was like, what do you mean? Like, I'm not
for a whole range of reasons, eh?
Stupid. But yeah, it's not unhealthy to want to lose weight. And when I first started out on my fitness journey as well, I didn't know how to eat or what to eat, and I wanted to do that. And so I got really small, and now I've got to a size that I'm like really happy with and really comfortable, and that's with balance. And that's exactly what you're saying. So I think some people have such a misconception about it. Like, you're working out to lose weight. You don't love yourself, or, you know, you're into yourself, or whatever they may think. I don't know.
It's weird, eh? It's weird. And I can identify people, if they're on something with us and I've matched all their nutrition to all the foods that they like, and they're still not dropping because they're not really sticking to a plan, or that they start adding different things in. I'm just like, okay, after about a month, I'm like, okay, man, like, what's wrong with you being the weight that you are now? Like, you're working out, you're getting healthy, and you're obviously like going out spontaneously and doing things and eating and drinking beers and doing that. And as long as you're working out, you know, then why are you focusing on getting to a certain goal weight? So I will have those honest conversations with people that I think need to have that, you know?
Yeah.
And just be like, mate, it's not, you know, but you need to start looking at pretty much loving yourself. And I'm like, I know this is going to sound weird coming out of my mouth, but you need to start learning how to love yourself and just bloody work out and do things to make yourself feel good, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
But it's an interesting bloody thing, eh? Nah, that's cool, man. That's cool. We'll let you go for the rest of the evening. But thank you very much for coming on,
Awesome.
Jen.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. It's been such a blast. You guys are awesome, and good chat as well. Good banter.
Hard out. And you're a fucking superwoman, mate. You're helping people, not only mental health, promoting a proper, real woman. Living a healthy lifestyle, living a balanced lifestyle. You're literally helping so many people and pumping out the right image of what. I was thinking about it today. Even like, you know, the younger woman coming up. If I had a daughter, I'd want her looking at you, you know, and following you and having someone like you to look up to, you know. So that's how cool of, you know, so much material that you're creating, which is so positive for the.
I got two daughters, so they'll be following you.
You're doing a lot, man, and you're doing it all right.
It's inspirational.
It's so cool,
thanks,
man.
Guys, it means so much.
Awesome, mate.
What you're doing.
I shall.
All right. All good, mate. But we'll get you on later on anyway, in a few months' time, and see where everything's at.
Yeah, I'd love that. Awesome.
Cool.
Keep doing what you're doing, man.
Thanks, Jen.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
See ya.